come from a working class background, and I was raised in San Francisco by my dad and my mom. My dad had an 8th grade education, and when he dropped out of junior high, he went to work in the restaurants in San Francisco. It was a hand-to-mouth existence, and the only way I thought about getting out of that was do well in school and be really good at something. And at that time, I used to be fairly good at soccer. So I ended up with a scholarship to the University of Washington. In college, I realized that public service was integral to strong communities, strong governments, and that's what I pursued, and I went into the Marine Corps. And professionally, I grew up in the Marine Corps, and it was the best decision I ever made. And the second best decision I ever made was to get out of the Marine Corps and join the reserves and work for Teach for America. And in Teach for America, I was placed in East Palo Alto, which is a under-resourced area right next to Palo Alto, one of the most wealthiest zip codes in the world. And the boys that I taught algebra to were predestined to be criminals, thugs, behind bars by the time they were 22. These boys did fine, C's, B's, and they passed all the state exams on algebra. So I am convinced that it's in people. You just have to make that relevant and have to make it worth their while. And they have to know that when they do well, there's something for them. And there was something for them. Two of them went on to California State Universities. Unfortunately, a couple ended up getting caught up with their brothers and in gang situations. 2 ended up dead. But ultimately, I think for all of us, it was a huge, huge opportunity to grow. After that, 9/11 hit, and I went back into the Marine Corps and was given the opportunity to serve in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And then I ended up at Cal Berkeley because I realized what I wanted to do was be a school leader. So back into the California State school system. And I ended up a vice principal, 1,200 student body, one of the largest junior highs in San Francisco, and a massive growing phase for me again. And then we've come to this, where there was an opportunity to not only serve with the Marines, but serve the people of Afghanistan and implement their National Education Strategic Plan, which has been a magnificent, phenomenal opportunity for me. Again, an incredible growing phase. I want to attend Singularity University because I want to bring the classroom into the 21st century. In America, the most powerful country this world has ever seen, there is close to a 50% dropout rate in urban high schools. I want to make learning relevant for children. I want them to utilize Web 2.0 in their daily lives and have education be a lifelong pursuit for them. How I'd like to do this? I want to influence education policy. I want to repeal the constraints of legislation that was written in 1900. The same legislation written in 1900 applies today, which is why Web 2.0 isn't being utilized in classrooms. These policies are affecting the way our children are learning. I want to integrate project-based learning into classrooms. I want these kids to be forced to work with their peers, work with all the various languages that are spoken in our public schools. I want to bring webinars to these kids, international projects where these kids can interact with their peers from Western Europe, where they can interact with their peers from Southwest Asia. I want them to embrace the global marketplace. When they get to that point where they're entering college and where they're entering the big world, they understand for them that this is something I did when I was 15 years old, and it's simple for them. It's not simple for us, but it's going to be simple for them. And I want them to be enticed by learning. I want them to understand that learning for them is something that is going to go on and on and on until their final days.